Danger Dolan. So you guys asked me a bunch of questions about WoW, and now I shall answer them one after the other. I've got a few here, and it's not just about WoW, it could be about Blizzard products, other games, whatever you want. So let's start off with number one, which is one most people would have come here for, from Matthew Costello. What do you think about Blizzard's idea to have an expansion released about every year? Do you think the game is moving too fast for players to enjoy game content? Do you think this decision will be too expensive on players? What is your opinion? So the original plan at BlizzCon was to release a new expansion every year. Like, that was their kind of PR thing. They say, we know you guys don't want us to spend ages not making content, you to farm the final raid like ICC and Dragon Soul and now Siege of Orgrimmar. Like, we know that's horrible and you guys hate that, so we're going to try and get these things out every year. And also, we like that every time we get an expansion out, we get a huge rise in subscriptions. So it was kind of an incentive from the players, from a financial standpoint. They just wanted to do that. That was their plan, right? So it seemed like there was a chance they might be able to pull it off because they've gotten quite good at releasing expansions. I mean, you have a look at the Mr. Pandaria patch cycle. It's a lot faster than it's ever been. They were getting content out frequently, one after the other, bang, bang. It was really good. So then, what went wrong with Warlords of Draenor? Where the hell is it? Where's the beta? You know, the release date is speculated to be like December. That's after the next BlizzCon. Like that goes against everything they tried to explain at BlizzCon, where they're saying we're gonna get stuff out faster. No, the opposite. You slow turtle. You're a turtle company going at a snail's pace, covered in honey, and no one likes it. So obviously something had gone wrong. Like, every time they get asked it, whether, you know, what's the deal with Warlords, why is it only just in alpha, they evade the question, which is ridiculous since they're not really introducing a lot of innovative features. They're making a big raid tier, they're introducing garrisons, of course, but apart from that, it's just character models and various features they're taking away. And when you stand back and look at it, they're introducing less content than any other expansion. So why is it taking so long? No one can answer that. I'm sure there's all kinds of technical reasons, and I'm sure people aren't speaking to each other at Blizzard. Everyone's in cubicles, soundproof cubicles with headphones on and goggles that only extends to the computer screen. I'm sure that's what's happening. So then Matthew wants to know whether I think, you know, it's possible. Could they do it? How can they feasibly do this? Well, the fact is, if they couldn't do it for Warlords, which doesn't have that much content, or it does have content, just not new content, then I really don't see how they're going to do this yearly. I mean, it's a good mindset to be in, but mindsets don't make porridge. You have to have some ingredients, you know? Obviously, they wanted to maintain the amount of features and content from previous expansions as much as they could. You know, the whole new raid tier dungeons and all that. They wanted to keep that, but they also wanted to reduce the time spent actually creating it. And that doesn't really work. Either you have to, you know, say, okay, we're going to make it a yearly expansion. We're going to have to cut a bunch of stuff and make it a smaller expansion, you know, like a sub-expansion. But they obviously didn't want to do that. So then you can't have your cake, two cakes, and eat them both at the same time because you don't have two mouths. You can only go for one cake. And the cake we have chosen is the cake full of content, which I prefer. I want an expansion that's huge, because not a lot of other games do that. It's all just DLC and shit. And now a question from Nicholas Lloyd Johnson. Hey DD, how do you feel about dungeons? Do you feel they are being neglected in endgame? Since it's all poured into LFR, I miss being able to run a small group of people into a challenging but not punishing PvE environment where I could get some nice gear, nothing amazing, and have a good time, as well as socialize and gain rep. It looks like it's a distant memory now. Well, first off, let's not address challenge mode dungeons, because while they are harder, they're kind of more punishing in the sense that ads can just kill you instantly, and there's a time limit, so it's all about just rushing through as fast as you can while everyone's not getting killed. Bosses, it's just like mechanics are still, you know, pretty easy, and it's just about rushing. That's a very, very specific audience. I don't like that personally. It's like alternative reality dungeons, and I don't want to go there. I want to stay in my reality with Warlords of Draenor in the alternate dimension. Let's stick with heroics and normal dungeons in this topic. So the dungeon environment in Mr. Pandaria was disgusting. It was the fact that the difficulty was removed, and that all stemmed from Cataclysm and how people could just click a button and group for randomly incredibly hard dungeons with other randoms, and it would lead to bad atmosphere socially. So they decided to, okay, let's just get rid. Let's just obviously the dungeons are too hard. Let's just nerf everything into the ground so that anyone can just walk through with their grandma. And that didn't work out so well, because now people who want difficulty couldn't find it. They are going to fix this in World of Draenor by introducing puggable heroic dungeons, but we do not know how difficult they will be. Hopefully they'll be quite difficult, so that you can, as Nicholas points out, be able to go into a challenging PvE environment with some friends and get some nice gear. Not too great, but nice. However, on the other side of the coin, if you have a look at the dungeon system introduced in Wrath of the Lich King, the random dungeon finder, it kind of killed a bit of the socialization. And people might turn around and say, well, I didn't spectate on dungeons anyway when I had to find them in trade chat. Well, that's just you, right? I'm talking in a broad sense. When people don't have to find others, when they don't have to say anything to find others, it doesn't encourage them to talk at all. It just leads to bad things. However, just because you are actually looking for people, does that mean you would start talking to them? Would you make friends with them? Half the time, they're just people who you're just recruiting so you can get through a dungeon. They're just tools to an end, and that doesn't exactly lead to, I'm super friends with this guy now. That doesn't happen like that. So what they're doing right now is they're finding out that places like LFR and LFG, it's not about socialization. It's people who just want to experience the content, and they don't want a lot of difficulty. They don't want to have to socialize with other people. They're just there to see the flashiness and cool stuff. Whereas puggable instances lead to socialization, recruiting people for guilds, whatever. So what I would very much like to see in Warlords of Draenor is not just these puggable dungeons that they have promised us with a high difficulty, hopefully, not too high that it's raid level, because nobody likes being frustrated throwing their corpses at a boss over and over until it goes down. People just want to be able to kill stuff, but use their brains to do so. I would also like to see the Time Walker dungeons that have been hinted at for so long. They are such a cock tease with these Time Walker dungeons. Essentially, they are just the old dungeons we have left behind in all the expansions previous, all the heroic versions of the dungeons. They bring them back for a Time Walker version where either they are scaled up to our level or we are scaled down to their level, and we can experience those in the puggable hard dungeon environment. I would love to see that. That would be amazing. Then they can kind of tune the progression curve around that. That would be super cool. But will it ever happen? Ah, God, I wish it will. And now our final question from Sam Hart. Do you think garrisons will be subject to monetization? For example, paying to speed up building speed and stuff like that. I think I can answer this with a very certain maybe, given Blizzard's track record and also our current mobile market, which is flooded with time games. It is horrifying. Now, for anyone that doesn't really know, it's just whenever you have a game where you have an option to either wait 10 hours for some huge boost to your character, to get some items or equipment, to either do that, to wait 10 hours, or to pay, say, $2 and have it just complete instantly. It's a bit of money grubbing, but it seems to work because people have this mindset where they think, okay, it was a tiny amount of money, I'd rather not wait this long, I'm busy, I'm performing surgery, I need this done right now. So they'll click the thing to build a building and it'll be done. So Sam wants to know whether or not they will do this for garrisons. Now I'm guessing they will have a large portion of a wait game involved. Like you send a follower off to clear a dungeon, it'll take 10 hours or some resources or both, and you have the option maybe to pay $2 and have it done instantly. Now, given Blizzard's track record with the level 90 on the Blizzard store, I never thought they were going to do that, and it definitely showed me. So there's a huge question about whether or not they would actually go that far. What I think is going to happen is far down the track when garrisons are less exciting. It's not this expansion, possibly. After the hype has worn off and people are like, yeah, I've gotten used to it, you know, it's gone the way of the Tiller's farm, then maybe they'll think about doing this. Because if you think about it, if they had released WoW and they made level 60s on the Blizzard store, you think that would have been a good idea? No, at that time, it was still exciting and fresh and new, and people wanted to experience it. People wanted to experience it, not today where everyone just wants to skip it because it's awful. No one wants to skip Garrisons, everyone's looking forward to it, but there will come a point where people are like, I'm sick of waiting for my level 3 noob to get back from the raid, so I'm gonna pay 39 cents plus $800 tax to get this thing done today. And that's gonna be a case. So, as I said, maybe. But if they do it, I think it's not going to be in this expansion. I'm willing to sell my firstborn chimpanzee that they will not do it in this expansion. And if they do, I will be sickened beyond belief. I'm going to have another Q&A session where for 3 hours I'm going to talk about how it is awful and it's destroying the game. But until that day, it might work eventually. It's worked for other companies. I just hope they don't abuse it. That's for damn sure. So that's it for this Q&A. If you've got more questions, just leave them down below and I'll hopefully get down to them eventually. If not yours, then someone else's question that is very directly related to your queue for me to A. That's it. Have a good one!